This is the best possible start to Fellowship. I'm going to go over optimal settings, proper gameplay loops so that you don't waste any time, because a lot of newbies play the wrong game mode and they don't get geared and they wonder why it's taking so long. So essentially, this whole video is just how to gear up fast and efficiently, which is kind of the entire point of the game. It's nothing but chasing gear upgrade after gear upgrade. Let's get into it. Quick disclaimer, I am not being paid by any corporation, entity, or talent agency to make this video. However, I was given this game for free by the developers on a website where YouTubers can request free games, depending on the size of their audience, and I'm interested in a game like this. It's basically World of Warcraft Dungeons in a way. And so, using my YouTube channel, I was able to get this game for free and not have to pay the $25 on Steam. But other than that, there is no one paying me to make this video other than YouTube ad revenue. So don't think that I'm a shill, or don't think that I'm some sort of, sponsored dork that's trying to sell you a product, because I'm not. And I'll share my honest feelings about this game at the end of the video if you're curious. Now, game settings are very much up to the player what you prefer in your, favorite MMORPG or whatever, but here is my settings. You can copy what I use, though this is just my personal preference. There's really nothing that's mandatory here. Going under input, here is the controls that I use. Now, you may be wondering, I don't see, spell hotbar controls. That's done in the game, not in a menu, and I'll show you that in just a little bit once we jump into the game. But going over interface, this is what I have. Audio is whatever, and then graphics. Now, one thing that I always hype, or, I always say it's very important, and that is maxing out your FPS. If you have an old monitor like I do, my max FPS the monitor can show is 60, and if you have uncapped FPS, it will throttle your graphics card, and so that turns on all my fans, it makes a lot of noise, but most importantly, it lowers the lifespan of your computer parts. So there is no reason to turn off max FPS in any game ever. As a matter of fact, there was a few games many years ago that people that did have uncapped FPS, it fried their graphics card. So this is why I always, as soon as I turn on any PC game for the first time, I find the max FPS setting, and any game devs that don't include a setting like this, shame on you. So when you start the game for the first time, or whenever you just log in, hey look, Q is one person in front of me, that's nice. Normally, I have to wait like 5,000 to 6,000 people. This game's rather popular at the moment. So, here is how the game works. It's kind of like Dota or League or whatever. You have hero characters. You don't necessarily make your own custom character, though you can customize these characters later and change how they look and stuff and how they play, whatever. But essentially, I'm going to tell you right now, tanks are the most in demand, and this is a group game. There is no solo play. It's pretty much you queue up with randoms or you have friends to play with, right? And so tank is the most in-demand class, especially the higher difficulty you get. Everyone else will be waiting 5 to 15 minutes or longer for tanks. So if you do not want to wait, then tank is the way to go. However, tank is the leader of the group, and so as you play, you're going to have to learn how to really pull, quickly in dungeons, explain boss mechanics. The tank is supposed to be the leader of the dungeon, and so if you have new players in your group by checking their gear score or dungeon score, I'll talk about that in a minute, what those mean, then it's your job as a tank to tell them how to play, what the boss does, what to watch out for, etc. And if that sounds like something you don't want to do, don't worry about it. As far as damage dealers go, you have like a mage, melee characters, and so on. So all of these characters have interrupts. They have very important roles. The higher difficulties, if you're not interrupting certain enemies' attacks, it will wipe the party or make the healer very stressed out. It really depends on how geared everyone is. But the damage dealer's role is also very important for different types of dungeons. When you get to higher level dungeons, if you cannot clear the dungeon fast enough because your DPS rotation sucks, then you hold everyone back on getting loot and advancing their characters. So again, damage dealing is not just a lazy, I'm going to pick rogue and mash one button, and that'll be that. You actually have to put in the work as a DPS. Don't think that these are the easy choices. And then you have healers, which keep everyone alive. And they're a little, I would say healers in this game are slightly harder to play than World of Warcraft and other MMOs, simply because you don't have as many powerful abilities and you can't gear crunch the content as easily as other games. Though healing doesn't have as long of a wait as DPS, I generally have to wait 2 to 3 minutes in higher difficulties as a healer. And early on, it's instant queues. So, you know, healers are in high demand early on, but when you get to higher level difficulties, most tanks end up just befriending their favorite healer, and then they just add each other to Steam, and then that's that. So when you queue as a healer, you're going to be waiting a little bit longer for that tank whose friend isn't quite online yet. But also, at the same time, when you play as a healer, you're kind of like... You're disposable, because after you've done a few dungeons with a good group, they'll be like, oh, my friends are logging in. See ya, healer. Thanks. Mwah. And then they kick you out of the party. And so if you really want to be like the alpha of a friend group or start your own harem, you need to play as tank. You just need to play as tank, all right? For the purposes of explaining how the game mechanics work, I am just going to choose a healer that I know I play this healer. I like heals over time. I think it's very easy. I am not a furry. I hate furries, by the way. Close the video if you're a furry. But heal over time is the way to go for me. And I would say this character is pretty humanoid anyway, right? This passes as a human. Anyway, so when you first start the game, this is what it's going to look like. You're going to have no gear. You're not going to know what to do. The game just throws you into the middle of town, and there only is towns and dungeons. There is no open world. There is no gathering. There is no MMORPG stuff. This is how the game shows you what to do. You just spawn here in town. No real tutorial. Yes, you can open a menu and you can click. There's like a button you can push escape and click tutorial. And all the tutorial does is have you run through and like fight a few mobs, and then it'll show you where to go in town for all of the random crafting benches and stuff. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to teach you the optimal way to play the game, which is very important because you could waste hours playing the game wrong and not advancing your character as efficiently as someone who's watched this video. So if you happen to play a healer, I'm going to tell you right now, one important thing that you should do on your skills is down here in your hotbar, right-click a skill, and for whatever reason, these are on by default, but you want to turn your healing spells and your buff spells, you want to turn off mouse over targeting. Unless you are very, very used to this, it is very unfriendly. Let me explain. Let's pretend this character's name is Beezles, right? This is a player who's AFK in town. And let's say that I want to cast a healing spell on this tank here. So I have this tank character, Chrono, selected, but my mouse is just over here. When I push a heal spell, it is going to target this Beezles guy over Chrono, even though I have Chrono selected, right? But this character, yeah, here we go. He has Luminous Barrier. So, like, if I have Chrono selected and my mouse is on this Fighties guy, and I cast Barrier, it's gonna prioritize the mouse cursor instead. So you would either have to park your mouse cursor off screen and hope it's not on, like if it's on your character and you have someone selected. The game is so chaotic and stuff is always running around that mouse over targeting is a hindrance. You will heal groups so much better when you turn this off. Also, if you want to know how to keybind things, you right-click the square. You can click what skill you want to set it to. You can also set your slot keybind to any button that you want. For me, this is how I've always played World of Warcraft. 1, 2, 3, 4, QE, VR, Shift, 1, 2, 3, 4, QVER. Pretty much it. Alright, and like World of Warcraft, you have multiple different gear slots, and later on, you will have 2 trinkets, or in this game they're called Relics, which will be abilities that you can use when they are higher leveled, and eventually your weapon will also have an ability it can use, and you will also get talents that alternate or alter your skills, gems that alter your stats, and as you play dungeons, you are going to unlock more character skills. So let me talk about that before anything else. So let's talk about how to progress quickly. In order to progress in this game fast, the way the game works is, yeah, you could click the table for roleplay purposes, or you can click the play button in the top left corner, okay? So when you click play, it defaults to this quick play button, and it says, oh, you get rewards, you get supplies and mark of fellowships. Oh boy, and so many new players fall for this trap. They think, oh, this is the standard game. And then if you click this challenge thing, you're like, oh, this is some ranked mode. I don't want to play that. I'm still learning. I'm a new player. No. I'll avoid this. Wrong. You should never, ever quick play unless you are so high in the ranking that you can't find groups for like hours or something, okay? Or you're waiting for your friends to log in. Because quick play it does not care about anyone's gear. It'll throw you in a random dungeon where your gear does not matter. It just gives you power that you and your party can overcome the dungeon, and all you don't receive items, you don't receive anything except supplies and Mark of Fellowship, and this is not a lot of supplies or Fellowship marks. These things are just little tokens that you can use to trade for items, but those items are gated behind progression, which means if you had 1,000 supplies and 1,000 Mark of Fellowships, you can't even buy anything worthwhile until you've actually progressed through the game. So this mode is absolute dog crap, dookie, stinky doo-doo. Do not do this game mode. It sucks. All right. Only when you're very high ranked and there is no one to play with should you ever do it, okay? But the real game mode is challenge mode. And you're going to start as contender and then eventually unlock adept and champion and paragon and eventually unlock eternal mode, which is where the really good gear is, okay? And the gear follows gear score mechanics. So, for instance, in eternal mode, right, if we were to look at, I guess I can't look at any of the gear here, because eternal mode, whatever. But if I go to Paragon and look at some of the gear here at, like, the highest difficulty, you can see that the gear score is level 255, whereas starting out the game, hold on, let me back her up a bit. If we go to Contender, and we go to difficulty 1, your gear score starts out at 15, all right? So yeah, there's a lot of growing to do, and I'll explain gear score, and there's also something called dungeon score. I'm gonna talk about that in just a bit. But in order to progress fast and quickly, you're going to click the play button and then go to challenge down here, click contender, click this cogwheel, and click only match with heroes who have reached the same difficulty as me or higher. Make sure you click this and click apply. And then when you find game, you're going to, for instance, go through a dungeon. And at the end of the dungeon, you will get one random gear drop. Dungeons can take anywhere from 8 to 9 minutes to 15 to 20 minutes. All right? So yes, gearing is rather slow. Now, I just want to talk about gearing as well. You don't have to get a full set of gear score 15 gear. Go up in difficulty and get your gear score 30 gear. Go up in difficulty and get your gear score 45. And then eventually 60. And then eventually 75. You don't have to do that. And the reason why you don't have to do that is because you open this cogwheel and you clicked this button. If you do not have this button clicked, the game will randomly match you with people. And those people will be severely under-geared from you. And the dungeon runs that you do will not progress your dungeon score or your gear score at all. All right? And so let me explain now what happens when you actually progress your character a bit. I want to iterate that your character does not level up. We are not level 1, we're not level 60. You have two ways that you technically level up. Dungeon rating and item level. That's it. Now, in order to increase your item level, you need to be able to unlock better dungeons. How do you do that? That is through dungeon rating. To get dungeon rating, you must complete these dungeons very quickly, right? And so, like, say we do the Silken Hollow dungeon, and we beat it in 8-9 minutes. There we go. We have completed it rather quickly. We get our dungeon rating. In order to continue to increase your dungeon rating on difficulty 1, you would do the same for Godfall, Quarry, and Empyrean Sands. Moving on to difficulty 2, again, you just want to make sure you beat these within the time limit of the dungeon. If you do not beat them within the time limit of the dungeon, you do not receive as much dungeon rating. And once you have completed all of these dungeons, the only way to raise your rating is to either do a higher rated, higher difficulty dungeon that you have not completed, or get better times on these earlier dungeons. And that is how you raise your dungeon rating. And by raising your dungeon rating, that's how you unlock more higher level dungeons. So if we click this rewards button at the top, this looks like some sort of Path of Exile skill tree, Albion Online Destiny board. Don't worry about it. This is not something that you have to concern yourself with. This is just, think of it like a battle pass. Think of this like your character level, okay? Kind of, sort of. So let me explain. If we branch, here's where your path begins, right here in the middle. If you branch off to the right, you complete your first dungeon, you get a mount. This just lets you move faster between pools and faster in town. That's all this does, and there's nothing really important about it. And then as you complete raids or raid dungeons like Time Keithrill's Fall and Time the Heart of Tuzari. Now when it says time, that means you have to beat the dungeon within the time limit. That's what the time means. So Cithrill's Fall and the Heart of Tuzani and Wrathtide Vault and etc. etc. By beating these dungeon raids, and these are like 30 to 45 minute dungeons or longer, depending on how good or bad your group is, you will unlock cooler looking mounts. And these mounts have a little bit of significance because if you're in a party and your tank suddenly mounts up and he's riding this bear creature, then you know that he's been playing the game a long time and he knows what he's doing. Whereas if someone mounts up on the whoopity-doopity brown boring horse, they're a new player, and you should probably explain to them how the dungeon works. That's kind of an important little tell, all right? Now, obviously, a experienced player could choose to use the crappy horse if they want, but you should still, ask new players, hey, are you new? Do you know how this dungeon works? So on and so forth, right? Now, if we go up from here, we have reach item level 5. So what is item level? That is your gear score. That is this thing, item level. Right now, my items on this character are all level 1 with lots of missing pieces. Because I have missing pieces, my gear score, or item level, is 0.4. If all of these pieces were level 15, my item level would be an average of 15. If something was missing, but most pieces were 15, it would be slightly lower than 15. That's how your item level works. So in order to get this to branch up to here, you must reach item level 5, which is rather easy to do. And then you get some gold, some currency for doing it, right? This is a system that rewards you for making or playing multiple different characters and classes. Because I have already leveled a character an okay amount, you'll notice that I have a bunch of gold, supplies, and Mark of Fellowships, and some mithril, whatever, right? So, when I start a new character, I can spend some currency to fast-track them, essentially, and progress them much faster through the dungeons. I don't have to do as much grinding, because my high-level character has already done that. Anyway, so what's important now is that you unlock this thing here, advance to Contender League from the mission table to increase challenges and rewards, and then this is what is going to increase the dungeons that you can do. So right here, Contender League Challenge, achieve 100 dungeon rating by completing a dungeon in Contender League, and then 300, and then 600, and then 900, and 1050, 1200, 1400. So once you get 1400 dungeon rating, in random matchmaking, you have a chance to attempt the Cithrill's Fall raid dungeon. This is a 5-man raid. And if you beat it within the time limit, you get a talent point, you get some gold. Also, by increasing your dungeon league rating, your dungeon rating, you get like random item level 30 equipment, you get Mark of Fellowship, Mithril, you get a talent point, and random level 60 equipment, and so on and so forth. So, essentially, you want to raise your dungeon rating, do the dungeon raid, go up, increase your dungeon rating, do the next raid dungeon, increase your dungeon rating, all the way until you're at the tippy top, and once you have achieved 10,000 dungeon rating, you can then, once you have beaten the Drakhim raid, which requires 5,500 dungeon rating, you can then unlock Eternal Mode, and, just go through that, whatever, okay? So, there is one more form of progression, which is something you're going to do, hopefully in one sitting, 1 to 2 days of sitting if you're a casual with, like, a real-life job or something. And that is your skill unlocks and your talent points. The majority of your talent points come from this left side of your tree. And it's pretty simple. Let me explain how this works. So on the left side here, you'll notice complete a dungeon. This is, once we complete one dungeon, we then unlock the ability Avatar of Light on this character, which seems to be an instant heal within a large radius. So again, you're going to be pretty underpowered as a healer and as a tank and as everything until you've unlocked all your abilities. But as you go through, you're going to unlock more things. So complete 2 dungeons, and when it says complete, that means get to the end of the dungeon and beat the boss and open the treasure chest. And no, they don't have to be different dungeons. You can beat the same dungeon over and over and over again. On any difficulty, it does not matter. So, once we beat 2 dungeons, we get a talent row, which right now on this character, our talents are locked. You can still mouse over and see what they do, though. Like, your greater heal has 0.5 seconds reduced cast time and 20% increased crit strike chance. And it's a little hard to see, but this would cost 1 talent point, whereas this one would cost 2. There's down here, this would cost, Radiant Soul would cost 3 talent points. Your Radiant Blast adds 3 seconds of the duration of all your active runes of blah, 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 blah. And by the time you unlock these, you're going to know what all of this stuff means and does. You just simply learn that by playing the character and playing the game. That would require separate character guides, which I'm not going to cover in this video. Anyway, you also get talent points after 2 dungeons, and then, so after 3 dungeons, you get another skill. And at the very top here, after beating 16 dungeons, you get a bunch of supplies, some money, metal, a random item level 90 weapon, and you get a new outfit for your character to show, or to show other players that, hey, I've got all my skills unlocked, I've got a bunch of talent points unlocked, I'm ready to rock and roll. And once you have all those talent points and those skills unlocked, that's when you can kind of customize how you want to play your character. For instance, I'm going to switch characters now. And I play this heal over time druid-looking character, right? And so, let me show you, again, this is what my rewards look like. You can see, this character has not beat Cithral's Fall within the time limit. I have beaten this dungeon, just not within the time limit, because the reason why is my gear score is only 50, and you want to be around 60 to 75 before doing the dungeon. But because I'm a healer, I can kind of get away with it. But because I have low gear score, I am getting matched in parties with other people who are also low gear score, so their DPS is not as high as, it's like 25% lower than what it should be, making it hard to speed run the dungeon. And you can see my gear is not perfect. I have a level item 30 helmet and an item level 15 cloak, whereas my best item is the level 90 weapon we get, and these level 75, necklace and wrist equipment. And I have plenty of currency that I could upgrade these. It's just a matter of if I want to. And by upgrading it through the Blacksmith, I'll talk about that in a minute. I could increase my item level, which would increase, my ability to be matched with higher item level parties. But if you have friends, that are high item level, they can carry you through this content. But if they do, then it messes up the queuing, and you're still forced to queue until you upgrade your gear anyway. That's just how the game works. But you can see here, this character has unlocked all of her skills, and talent points on the left side. I still obviously need the talent points for going through the higher leagues, and also beating Cithral's Fall within the time limit gives you a talent point. And so my character's talents look something like this. And yes, you can allocate skills on the same tier of tree. What I went with was an ability to heal everyone while maintaining mana through combat, and giving everyone multiple ways to shield them. And so far, it works really well. If I wanted to specialize in single target heal crits, I could run this talent. And if talents are interchangeable, I can unlearn this and learn this and apply it. And there's no money cost. There's no reason not to mess around with this. You can play around with it all you want. And in the town here, there are target dummies and allied dummies you can try to heal and deal damage to. And you can figure out what build works for you. I have a certain playstyle that I like in MMOs, and I find this one to be very easy and hyper effective. I have been getting lots of kudos in my groups with this specific build for this specific character, but that's how you progress in the game. So here is how you should progress as fast as possible, and don't think of it as rude, don't think of it as anything other than trying to get to the higher tier parts of the game where the game truly begins. It's just like getting out of the noob zone as quick as possible. So here's how to do it. And it all depends on which of these contender league challenges you have unlocked. So think of it like this. Once this node is unlocked, this is gear score 15, then 30, then 30, 45, 45, 60, still 60, but also, once you have this one unlocked, you can now randomly start getting Cithral's Fall in your dungeon queues. So what this means is that play the game normally until this unlocks. Once this unlocks, you should only ever do dungeons that give gear score 30 gear. Once you have both of these unlocked, you should only ever do dungeons that give you gear score 45 gear. And then once you have this one unlocked, you should only do dungeons that give you gear score 60 gear until you have both of these unlocked. And you can continue to do dungeons with gear score 60 gear, but you can also just keep re-queuing up until you get this and try to attempt it and beat it within the time limit, depending on what class you play. So this is what it would look like. Let's say that I want to queue up for the dungeon that I get the best rewards for, which would be this one, but it could also be this one. So gear score 60 or gear score 75. I'm going to click play. I'm going to make sure that this is selected so that it only matches me with the same or higher difficulty. This means that I have a potential to be carried, all right? But it means that I won't get people sandbags and I won't have to do lower tier dungeons that don't give me any good rewards. I'm going to click contender and click find game. Also, you can hover down here and see what the queue is like. So right now, tanks are underpopulated. Healers and DPS are overpopulated. So I'm going to find a match real quick. By the way, a tip for queuing, and I don't know if this is a bug, but this was around since the beta. But if you can't find a good dungeon group, or if you're not queuing up with anybody, then what you should do is exit the game completely, assuming you're not playing during prime time and there's a multiple thousand people wait in line, and then close the game, open the game, and then queue up, and you will find groups way faster that way. Now you'll notice that we queued up, and the tank and the DPS immediately left, and that was because they probably didn't get the dungeon that they wanted. So we're going to click leave party, even though our party is empty, and then we're just going to re-queue. The highest tier dungeon will always be on the right side, and you should always vote for the highest tier dungeon. So someone just queue dodged, that's why the menu closed, and that's why people are leaving. It's really, if you're a healer or a tank, it's almost always better to just leave and re-queue, but you can see here, people are going to vote. Now, if you happen to get the lesser tier dungeon, like if this wins the vote, just leave and re-queue. Just leave and re-queue, because it's a complete waste of time. Even though our group, you can also hover over everyone and look at their gear score. So yeah, in this case, the lower tier dungeon it won the vote, so I'm just going to leave and then re-queue. Though this one is technically gear score 60, which I could absolutely use. There's lots of upgrades for me here. And again, you can always inspect other players and see their gear score. You can see this is the tank. He is definitely geared, whereas the DPS, that's also pretty geared. And I don't know why we're doing low tier dungeons. So again, waste of my time. It's rude. I know it's rude, but it is. You got to play efficiently. If you sit here and be nice to every random stranger you're never going to see ever again, you're going to be in the trenches forever. And this is a game where you've got to move fast before the player base alienates the rest of everyone else. Also, sometimes you'll get these very high gear scored players like this DPS with 103 versus my 50. He's like double my gear score, right? Why are we going to this dungeon, bro? What the hell? It makes no sense. They could absolutely carry. They could absolutely carry the weaker characters. What they're trying to do, I'm going to tell you why some people are doing this, all right? And the reason why is they're trying to increase their dungeon score. So you can see here, Stormwatch is this dungeon. I have only beat it at contender level 3 instead of contender level 6, and I only have 170 dungeon score from it because I beat it within the time limit. Or like in this dungeon, Godfall Quarry, contender 6, I did not beat it within the time limit, so I can increase my dungeon score by a little bit, 10 to 20, it looks like, if I were to beat it within the time limit. And if I get a really good time, I can even increase it even further, right? And so they're probably just trying to boost their friend's dungeon score to get them into the higher tier dungeons, but that's not my problem. That is not my concern. So don't feel bad about leaving, all right? Don't feel bad about leaving. Also, hey, look, it's the same guys. Yeah, they're trying to boost this person who's only gear score 28. Yeah, I'm not going to the low-level dungeon. No thanks. If you keep queuing up with the same dorks, log completely out of the game, close the game completely, don't go to character select, close the game completely, reopen it, and you will get a new pool of players to queue with. You can see, like, I'm the only healer in their pool that's queuing. Oh, now they're clicking this one. Yeah, now they're clicking this one. So once you and your party beat the dungeon, there will be a chest, and then you can just loot it. Hey, I got an upgrade. There we go. Cool. And then you click the leave button, and you just rinse and repeat that, and that's the gameplay loop. That's how you progress. And, yeah. And you gotta do that for all the characters that you want to play, or not. And once you have that upgrade, so now I'm at 50.4 item level power by changing out the cloak. I now jump to 53.6 item level power. So you can see that, like, once you're reached in-game and everything is at 255, then you would have item level 255, and then from there you would want to upgrade it through other things, which involves going around town. So let me show you around the town a bit. So right here at the main part, you have the mission table. This is just the play button. That's all this is. It's just a play button. Then you have this Mirror of Illusions, which is just your skins that you've unlocked so far. So you can see for this druid-like character, I have like a blue one, a red one, the base one. You can go with no skin, which is just whatever you're wearing. And yeah, so it's however you want to decorate your character. Next up, behind the table, you have this Monument of Legends. And this is the leaderboard. This shows who's getting the fastest times in dungeons with the highest dungeon rating. You can see which party is getting the fastest time with the highest dungeon rating, and so on and so forth. And you can kind of see like what characters are being used. You can see what items the characters have, and so on and so forth. So you can see like this party has an item level of, like, their healer is 301, and their gear is a pretty damn juicy. Oh, that's a legendary. They got a legendary 330 item power amulet. Again, if you like to chase item power and chase really good gear, then this is definitely like a place that you can check out some of their stuff. It looks like some of these boxes are incomplete, but hey, it's still early access or whatever. Just to show you how crazy the gear scales, for instance, all of my gear that I have on is giving me a bonus of 378 stamina. Whereas in the leaderboard on the dungeons, you can see that their healers, just their weapon, just the weapon gives them 534 stamina. So just one piece of gear is giving them 1.5 times my total stamina from all of my gear pieces. And yes, all of these gear pieces give quite the large amount of stats. It is, you get pretty powerful with gear. Anyway, from the mission table, if you open your map with the Ilm button, you can see on the left side you have targeting dummies, training dummies, and so on and so forth. And on the right side, we have some more things. You have your stash if you want to put items from dungeons away rather than break them down or disenchant them. Like, I have my starter set because, you know, in MMORPGs or games like this, it's always fun to keep a starter set and then put it on one day whenever you're higher leveled or something. I don't know. I always keep my starter gear in all games. You have the scrapper, which you can put gear in and break it down for materials. Right now, for these lower tier things, you'll see like it just gives gold. So not that big of a deal. For this one, it would just give more gold. So different items will scrap for different things, though. Then you have the blacksmith over here, and this can upgrade your equipment. So I could take this this necklace, and I could upgrade this 7 more times, which would give me 15 item level per upgrade. So again, this is one way that I can increase my item level if I happen to not be good enough at doing dungeons, or I'm getting bad luck in parties and no one's, you know, able to carry the group. Since I'm playing a healer, I'm kind of the group carry in a way. Healers are very important, right? Whereas if I couldn't heal, or I'm just like, I'm, you know, I don't have the stats to do a dungeon, this is one way to increase that, is by upgrading the gear that you already have. Then you have the jeweler, which you can remove sockets and gems from things, which you unlock after adept mode. So once you get into adept mode, you can start getting those. Up here you have the Shrine of Infusion. This is how you would alter your weapons to give them abilities, but at item level 90 it's too weak, so I can't really show this off on this character. And my progress was wiped from the last beta, so I can't show that character either because it no longer exists and I didn't make videos for the game. Oops. Alright, but other than that, you have the stables. This is just how you change your horse skin. Again, you can unlock different mounts, and yeah, you definitely want to have the Gucci mount. Like, I was in a dungeon with someone that had something that looked like this, right? And I guess, oh, they bought it with a supporter pack. Okay, they were pay-picking the game. I thought they were high up ranked or something, but no, they're just spendy money in real lifey. Okay, anyway. So your fellowships and your supply boxes, here's where you can buy materials for crafting, you know. Like this box here gives ingots, aethers, and godstones. Then you have a vendor here that is for cosmetics. Like, I could buy this outfit for this character for 380 gold, which you shouldn't do. You should only buy cosmet. I'm gonna be real. You should only buy cosmetics once you're fully kitted out, okay? Once you have nothing left to buy. And then you have equipment from vendors, and you can see here that I can buy item level 15 starter gear using supplies, alright? But I cannot buy item level 75 gear with supplies because I have yet to complete the Cithral's Fall within the time limit. But once I complete that, then I can buy this gear if I want to. And then I would have to beat Heart of Tuzari to get level 135 gear from the vendor. Alright? So yeah, those are the vendors. There's also this big building. This just lets you swap your characters. You can do this from the menu. You don't have to walk over here or ride your mount over here to do that. It's just for flavor. Also, in town, you can actually jump off certain, like, well, okay, there's invisible walls now, but there used to be certain points where you could just jump off the cliff and die here, which, even though this wouldn't kill you normally in a dungeon, the fall damage will kill you. It just resets your character to back in town. There is no repair bills. There's really no penalty for dying other than you losing the dungeon's time limit challenge. That's pretty much the only thing you have to worry about is your DPS doing the right rotations? Is the tank pulling multiple enemies at a time rather than one small group at a time? Is your I seem to be stuck. Is your healer making sure that there isn't full party wipes? And if so, then you'll do just fine. And if not, well, you can always just re-queue up and try again, get different random people. That's just the reality of it, really. Now, as far as item progression goes, if I inspect this Shin guy here, you can see he's got an average item level of 156. He's got some purples. He's got a legendary there. So on and so forth. You can look at his talent points if you want to copy his build. Like, you can look at high-geared players in town and copy their builds if you're struggling. Now, you'll notice he barely has any gems. So yeah, gems are more of a late-game chase. They're pretty hard to acquire. You can also look at other players' dungeon score, how fast they're beating dungeons, and the more higher, difficulty you go, the more penalties that the dungeons have to make them harder, of course, the modifiers, whatever you want to call them. I don't know the official name, but yeah. So you can inspect people, like if you see like say this JC Power guy, you might be more geared, maybe, I don't know, but you can see his talents. He's doing something completely different. Why, Bloomin', why? Your build is weird, bro. But hey, if it works, it works. It obviously got him that gear, so he's doing something right. But, you can always just inspect people. And, again, if there's hardly anyone here in town, just exit the game and then re-enter it, and you'll get a whole nother random set of people that you can inspect. And that's how you can kind of learn on your own without videos or anything, without trial and error too much. The main takeaway is that don't be that new player, don't be that Twitch streamer, that has like 1,000 viewers that's clicking this play button and then going to quick play and doing this for hours on end, and then going over here and buying their gear upgrades. That is not how to play the game. That is not how to progress your character. They need to take it out of the game. It's way, if you're a new player who hasn't been informed, this is a noob trap. This is, oh man, it's stifled so many people and wasted so much people's time. I don't know if the devs are sadists or are they time vampires. I can't tell. Anyway, this guide is just to help you get started. It's not a full game guide. I'm not going to go over every dungeon, every character, every build, or how the boss fights work, or what different enemy mobs do. That's something you can learn. Or if this video does really well, I can always make more videos, of course. But I feel like this is a flash-in-the-pan game that probably won't last too long. And I'm just really making a video for it because I got it for free, and I feel bad for playing a game for free without, giving back, I suppose. But essentially, there's a few mechanics you should be aware of. Like, if there is a big circle on the ground and it has arrows pointing into the middle of that circle, this is called a soak circle. No, it's not Mormon. It means that if the party, as in everyone in your dungeon, does not stand in this circle, something bad will happen. So generally what happens is everyone has to stand in the circle so that the damage gets evenly distributed against everyone that's, in the party. Whereas if no one stands in the circle, everyone takes maximum damage and could possibly be one-shot in higher difficulty dungeons. The mechanics differ from enemy to boss, but if you don't stand in the circle with the arrows that point into the middle, bad things generally happen. So just keep that in mind. I know this was not a game mechanic up to World of Warcraft Cataclysm. I did not play World of Warcraft past Cataclysm, but I haven't really seen this mechanic in any other MMORPG. So if you're like me and haven't really played a modern MMO since 2012, then that is something to be aware of. But again, you'll learn all the mechanics, and really it's the tank's job to teach you that stuff. I'm sure there's guides for each individual dungeon and boss somewhere out there, maybe. I don't know how popular guides are for this game at the moment. I didn't really, do my research. I'm just making a vid because it's Wednesday morning and I have nothing else to do. Anyway, let's talk about the game. Let's get the review out of the way. Review time. As I pointed out, this video is not a shill video. I am not being paid by some talent agency, herp derp, and no, this is not a paid promotion. I got the game for free because I'm a big YouTuber using a website where they give YouTubers free games, whatever. But anyway, the point is that this is a $25 game. Is this game worth $25? No, I don't think so. This game is, it's a little bit predatory in the fact that whenever you launch the game, it opens its own launcher. That launcher is recognized by Steam as the game, and that incurs playtime. So if you open the game during prime time, right now it is, we're late October. There's like 30 to 50,000 people playing this game. The service cannot handle that many people because the devs didn't, they didn't think ahead or something. I don't know. But essentially, you're going to be sitting in queue for hours, from like 9,000 people in front of you, and then after an hour, you might get in, or a glitch happens and bugs you out and kicks you out back to the title screen. Then you re-enter the queue and you're now at 7,000 players, and then you get kicked out and re-enter the queue and you're at 7,000 again. And 1 to 2 to 3 hours can pass before you even get a chance to really play the game. Furthermore, the queuing can break sometimes, meaning you have to close the game and reopen it, which means you have to get back in queue, which means you don't get to play for another 2 hours. So if you play during prime time, when the game is at its max popularity, you're going to suffer. And this also means that you can't get a Steam refund, because after 2 hours, Steam is like, nope, sorry bro, can't get a refund. Meh. It sucks. That's just how it is. As far as the game goes, it's okay. But this is not, they should not have made this a $25 game. This game should have been free to play, and they should have done the cosmetic model. You know, Fortnite and Roblox, these games, they're free to play, they make millions of dollars. Game devs need to figure this out. This is not the 90s, this is not the early 2000s anymore. Ever since League of Legends was free to play, which was always, the industry changed, and people simply do not want, the only reason people play, or rather, my term, the reason people pay pig into a game is so that they don't have to deal with the poorer, lower income, third world countries of sorts. That's the nicest way I can put that. And these elite dickheads with their fancy, six-figure earning yearly jobs, they don't like us poor folk. They don't like us slum dwellers or Section 8 sour babies, right? They don't like us, and we don't like them. And so, for all my low-down brothers out there in the ghetto, I would say avoid this game because it's full of elitist dickheads. That, everyone's a dick in this. Like the chat gets pretty mean sometimes. And I like to get mean back. I actually enjoy the banter. But for the softer generation out there, it's a bunch of sour ex-World of Warcraft players that are mad that their current expansion sucks or something. Also, the game's difficulty ramps up exponentially very early on. Like, I'm talking this dungeon and beyond. The game gets unfun. It is no longer fun to play. So, and I'm saying this as a healer, as a DPS, as a tank. It becomes a gear check. It becomes everyone has to play absolute perfectly. You need a minimum APM of like 60 or something. It gets pretty upsetty spaghetti to play this game. It is, it's also not an MMO. It's just a dungeon game. So, by increasing your gear score, the only reward you're getting is to increase your gear score further, to do more dungeons, to do more gear score increases. So when you look at the leaderboards, and the players that have a gear score of 300, what are they going to use that gear for? They're already at the top of the leaderboard, they have no more dungeons to do. I mean, yeah, there's some endless mode, sure. So, let's say their gear score was 600, or even 900. What good does that do when there is no game world to use the items in? The whole point of a game giving you a chase for gear was so that you could go out into the open world and fight people with that gear, or go out into like a dangerous area that would be dangerous, but you're so good geared that you can do or solo very difficult enemies that would take a group to do. But this game does not let you solo dungeons. This game requires that you have, you know, a group of friends. You could have 4 DPS and do a dungeon. The game lets you do that if you have friends to do it with. You cannot queue 4 DPS into a dungeon. The game forces tank, healer, 2 DPS as the meta. Another thing this game suffers from is a very fast AFK kick system. If you, like, get up and use the bathroom, you will get AFK kicked. Luckily, I'm playing at 1 in the morning when there's, let's see how many players are playing exactly right now. There are 13,000 people playing, which is not a lot at 1 in the morning. This is definitely a boomer game where these 40-year-olds are playing this game at, like, after work hours, for sure. Anyway, I think this game would be cool if it was free to play. I definitely would never recommend anyone spend $25 on this. Not at all. Hell no. Unless you're, like, rich. If you make, like, $100,000 a year in your job and you have a house and your whole family's taken care of and you have no money issues and you have perfect health and you literally have nothing left in the world to spend your money on, then I guess you could buy it. But for someone like me who loves MMOs and this style of gameplay, I would honestly rather play Healed to Death, which is a single-player healing simulator MMO. It's not an MMO, it's a single-player game that pretends it's an MMO, kind of, sort of. It's got way more intricate healing systems than this game, and it was developed by one dude who then paid someone to do the art, which makes it look like an N64 game. I've got a video on my channel about it, so yeah, I would recommend, and that game's like $5 or $10. I would recommend Healed to Death over this game, for sure, right? But this game will not have a long lifespan. 2 months from now, it's got to go free to play if it wants to retain players. I don't see this game getting any bigger, even though right now there's a lot of shilling it. And from my research, they're doing it of their own attrition. They weren't paid to shill. Like, oh, Shroud, that, you know, FPS cheater guy using aimbots. And he does! There's proof, you know, fuck you, Shroud. Anyway, the point is that this game, it's not worth the money. They need to make it free to play, and they need to figure out something to use the gear for. There's no reason to go get good gear if there's nothing to use the gear for other than getting more gear. That's just a Skinner box, and I don't enjoy Skinner boxes, okay? But at the same time, it needs to be more solo player friendly. Like, whenever I queue up and get a shitty group, it sucks. It feels bad. And most of the, like, nowadays, gamers are antisocial. They either don't talk, or they only talk after they're upset. And also, like, you're not going to make friends in this game, right? Everyone that plays already has a Discord group of homies that they're playing with. And as a solo, you just queue up. And, oh, this is the part where you can jump off and die. Yeah, here we go. Whee! But anyway, what I'm trying to get at is that, you know, you're just a third wheel until their friends log in after work or school or whatever wagey crap they got to do. And it just feels bad at the end of the day. It's like, it makes you, it's like, why bother? If you have no one to play with, this isn't really a social game. There's no social interaction to be had, you know? You're not going to be out fishing in the wilderness. You can't gather in this game, by the way. It's not an MMORPG, but in a regular MMORPG, you would see people around town, around fishing spots, you know, gathering spots. You'd be out questing, adventuring, and you'd see people. And then you bump into them again and again and again, and socialness just happens. This does not happen in this game. This is a dungeon simulator that apparently sweaty WoW nerds that are mad about plus mythic or whatever that means. I quit during Cataclysm, don't know what a mythic is, don't care. World of Warcraft sucks, alright. Except for vanilla. Vanilla was okay, but, and no, I'm not going to play in these private servers, but, again, I'm going to say that this is borderline friend slop, alright? You're better off just go play Peak. Go play Peak's new, forklift simulator game or whatever it is. I don't know what it's called. This game is, it's a flash in the pan. All the streamer dorks are going to go play Arc Raiders, you know, in a few days anyway. It doesn't matter. And, if you are looking for a free-to-play MMO, there's Albion Online. I've got like 1,000 videos on that game, I guess. It's pretty crappy, though, for solo players, and it's really down bad, too. There's not a whole lot for us to play. Like, MMO gamers are so thirsty that this game peaked at like 50,000 players. That's how thirsty we are, right? Anyway, that's the video, that's the guide, and yes, I'm sorry to give a somewhat negative review for this game, even though they gave me the game for free. They're not paying me to say nice things. They would have to pay me $10,000 to say nice things. If you're a game dev and you want me to, like, suck off your game, even if it sucks, $10,000 is my price tag, and no one's ever done that, and they probably never will. So you know that you can get honesty here on this channel, right? And it is what it is. You know, I still appreciate the free game, but I'm not going to lie to my audience. All right, make the game free to play, devs, if you're watching, if you're listening. And if not, if it's not in the cards, well then, I don't know, figure out some cute skins that girl gamers will want their boyfriends to buy. Oh, look at this new skin. Oh, I need it. That's how you get money. That's how you get money. You make people that have money get pressured by people that want the in-game goods, and then they will buy the thing, and then you get all the money. Listen, in 2025 and beyond, you're not making money because I want to buy a video game. Here's $40 or $20. No, the real way to make money is you find one asshole that got lucky in life with a privileged as fuck livelihood, and he grew up in royalty, who likes your game, and he doesn't want to work for all the stuff in the game, so he just card swipes $10,000 to get it all instantly, at the detriment of other players who have to grind for it manually, and that's fine. That's called pay to win. Add pay to win to your game? Yeah, there's purists that won't play your game. Oh well, you'll still make way more money than charging $20 for a Steam license for the game that will clearly go out of service within the year. Oh, sorry, we're ending service for our game. There's not enough players and not enough money, and we have to shut the service down. And that's that, folks. See you later. And then everyone loses. If you're a game dev listening, aren't you doing it for the passion? I would be pissed. If I'm a YouTuber, right? I would be pissed that if I'm making videos and then suddenly no one watches them and the videos have to get deleted off the internet because no one's watching them, right? So why would I even bother? I would have to make videos where people would watch them indefinitely, right? But that's not how YouTube works. I can put videos up and then 100 years later, if the website doesn't get bought out or something, then, people can still look them up and watch them, even though I'm a dead skeleton, haunting an afterlife or something. Or maybe not, who knows. But the point, what I'm getting at is, yes, we are a little schizo-y ranty on this channel, is that if you just make a game to sell a handful of copies and then whoops, the game dies because everyone moved on, what's the point of building all of this? What's the point of making this character bang this pixelated anvil and sword that's kind of clipping through it? Look, it's clipping through the anvil, bro. Dude, if I worked at a game studio and I was like a quality assurance guy or just the dude that makes sure the game isn't like doing goofy shit, I would be up every programmer and artist's asshole. I'd be like, listen here. Look at this! Look at this! Do you see this? And the timid nerd sitting at the computer would be like,
what's wrong? He's hitting the hammer he's hitting the sword with the hammer.
I'd be like, do you not see it clip through the anvil? Fix it! And I'd slam the door and I'd bang on the desk and I'd throw, like, I don't know. You know that Sam Hyde skit where the guy gets really mad and trashes the office? Which is like every Sam Hyde skit ever. It would be that! So, yeah, game devs, hire me as your manager, and I'll make sure that the timid dork, dweeb artists and programmers don't let the damn blacksmith sword clip through the anvil when you launch your game. Not that it really matters about sales and stuff. I'm sure some sales exec could be like,
listen, Swole Bidget, you've been a bully in the office, and we're going to have to send you on vacation, 2 weeks unpaid vacation. Because, you've been really rude to our artists, and, the clipping of the sword through the anvil is not going to affect sales, so you need to lay off and take a chill pill, bro.
And then I would just yell back at them that they're wages and their job sucks and the HR is stupid. Anyway, that's the video. I hope you enjoyed. If you can feel the soul in my voice, then you should probably watch some of my other videos. I'm not asking you to subscribe. I'm asking you to click the video on the right side of your screen, and if you don't, the next time you cook something hot, you're going to accidentally burn yourself. Ooh, it's going to hurt. It's going to leave a little blister, too. Maybe.